Hello, everybody. My name is Kyle. This is Kyle's Trail Miles, where I talk about all things running and ultra running. And today I've got hopefully a great episode for you. I'm going to talk about my recent kind of 2 weeks adventures, if you will, how the training has gone. And then in 2 days, I've got one of my sort of A races of the year, the Coulee Cactus Crawl, or maybe it's the Cactus Coulee Crawl. I can never remember. And it's here in Lethbridge. It's one of my favorite races, so I'm going to kind of just give you my take on that, and then of course we'll see how that goes. So let's jump right in. So a week and a half ago, it's Thursday as I'm filming this, so a week and a half ago was the Calgary Marathon, and I did a recap video on that. You can go back and watch that, but it went very, very well. I didn't, fly too close to the sun, if you will, but I definitely went out there and gave it my all. Came in at like 3:35, 3:34, something like that. And it was an awesome race. So then basically because that was on Sunday, took Monday, Tuesday off. And then I was up in Calgary anyways for work that day. So my buddy Paul lives in Calgary and Murray. So I said, hey, I'm up anyways. Let's do a bit of a run in the mountains. Beautiful day, long days now up here in Canada. So my buddy Murray unfortunately couldn't. He had some blisters from the marathon. But me and Paul went up and or went out to the mountains. And I was kind of expecting I don't know what I was expecting, just like a little runny run after work. And we ended up turning it into a bit of a juggernaut, especially considering we did a marathon like 3 days earlier. So we went up to, why is my screen all messed up now? There we go. We went up to, went out to Bragg Creek, and we did 2 times. Like Prairie Mountain is this awesome mountain. It used to be sort of a public made trail that just went straight up the mountain to the peak. It was crazy then. That was a few years ago. So then they recognized, okay, a lot of people are using this trail. Let's actually build like a real trail. So they put in a few switchbacks, which, I mean, I don't know. Does it make it easier? Maybe. It definitely makes it more runnable down, which is nice, but it is a juggernaut. It takes about, give or take about 45 minutes to get to the summit, which is about 700 meters. And then, so we got up there, then we ran the backside, ripped down there, back to the car. Then we went up Prairie again to the summit, and then we ripped down. Well, I didn't run as fast as my buddy down, but then we came down. And man, after that marathon, like 2 days earlier, and then doing a 3.5 hour run up a mountain twice and around the back, like, man, that last time coming down, my quads were, they were something. So then we'd kind of already had planned a run in the Saturday, because there's the Calgary Marathon and then a free week and then this Cactus Coulee Crawl, which my buddy and I are both in. And so I thought, well, let's, I'll come up to Calgary on the Saturday and we can go for a bit of a mountain run. And I hadn't really, put into the mix that we were going to do a juggernaut on Wednesday. But anyways, so I come up, have 2 quick days to heal and get sort of ready. Then I go back up Saturday morning and we rolled out and we did a 38-kilometer run, 1,300 meters of elevation. We went up Moose Mountain, for anybody who's familiar. So we started back here at the car, ran up Moose Mountain to the summit and then back down and then did a little extra in here. This was just absolutely beautiful in here, and then back to the car. So it was a great run. I took a ton of pictures. I uploaded them to Strava a little while ago, but they haven't come up yet. I don't know what that's about, but that didn't work at all. Orange pictures. Okay. What's up with that? All right. Well, not showing you any pictures. So yeah, it was awesome though. Get way up above tree line, and I could definitely feel a little bit of quad tightness when we went out there, but I just thought, well, we'll see how it goes. And it was like 38K of straight running, like five hours. It was about 5 hours, 30 minutes, only because at the top of the mountain we stopped for like maybe 10 minutes, not even. And then we actually stopped at the top. There was some snow at the top, so we took our shirts off and did snow angels in the snow, and then kept going. So it was an awesome day. My heart rate did spike a little bit. I didn't I kind of didn't eat as much as I probably should have because we were kind of going. And then as soon as we got into this little section, this little kind of side shoot section, I noticed my heart rate started to spike up in like the high 150s actually. And I was like, whoa. And then I realized I just hadn't kind of really managed my eating properly. Which wasn't a bad thing. Like, in training, sometimes I like to just sort of switch it up a bit and do things a little different just to, you're going to have times in a race where maybe your stomach's not working properly or whatever. And so then anyway, so I got down a couple of gels and my heart rate immediately came down and just felt great. And, the backside of this, felt really good. And then the last, 5K along this kind of gravel road here was just awesome. It was kind of downhill, just cruising it back to the parking lot. Just an awesome, awesome run. So yeah, so the last 2 weeks have been like pretty good. I mean, from a mileage perspective, kind of some of my sort of slower weeks, like 58K, and then, 56K and then 58K. But man, it's been awesome. And so then what I decided to do is I figured, okay, well, I got to let my body really heal after that. I mean, Calgary Marathon, and then 2 days later, like summit a mountain twice, and then 3 days later, a 38K run up another mountain and through the, and I will note that on both of those runs, I took a dive. The first one I explained in my last video, but this time I was just running down this mountain trail and kind of these switchbacks, and I like to like zone out a little bit when I run, and you can kind of do that where I run. It's not super technical, but in the mountains obviously you can't do that, and I just zoned out just for like the wrong second, and I went down, and then I kind of fell over the lip, and I went backwards down the mountain, and it was kind of anyways, it all worked out. And then I tried to kind of grab this like tree on the ground to stop my fall, and then it broke, and it turned into this big ordeal. But whatever. I made it through, and it was all good. So anyways, so awesome training. I feel so good. I made a conscious choice this week of just really resting and letting my legs heal, because I think, after 2 weeks like that, like again, a marathon, and 2 days later, another good sized mountain race, and then 3 days later a really good mountain race, I think there's even some fatigue there that maybe you don't even feel. Like right now, as of Thursday, I feel great. I feel like I could go out and rip a 10K or whatever, but I've had that before in races where I went a little too hard going into it, and then halfway through that race, when you hit that like 20-kilometer mark or whatever, it's like, things start kind of, you can tell you got some fatigue in your legs, and I really, really don't want that. So I've kind of just been laying a little bit low, doing some stretching, things like that. I'll probably go for a little bit of a shakeout run tonight on Thursday, and then Saturday at noon is the run. So what makes this run so great? It's called the Cactus Coulee Crawl here in Lethbridge, and I try to go in it most years. It's the race that I've done the best in, if you will, because it's kind of a local race, so there's no like crazy big names in it. Last year I came in 6th out of, 130 people or something, and I was 4 minutes away from the podium. I did it in 3 hours 15 minutes, and the podium was like 3:11 or something like that. Like I was right there. So this year, I feel a lot stronger. I feel like I have the ability to run up hills way better this year. Last year, I'm pretty sure I power hiked all of the hills, and then as soon as I got even remotely to the top, I'd start running. But this year, I feel like I can run a lot of the hills, and so I'm kind of going to put that to the test. But it's a 32-kilometer run. The first, 400 meters, 500 meters are on pavement, and then so obviously it's a little bit of an out and back, and so then the last 500 are on pavement. But it's just a fast course. Last year, my average pace, it has like 900 meters of elevation over 32 kilometers, and I think my average pace was like 5:58 or something. So I'm really hoping to bring that down. And the one thing I did last year, I remember, is I was going out and I was kind of holding like a high 150s heart rate, low 160s, and then when I got to about the halfway point, I remember consciously there's this long kind of flat part that goes along the river, and I remember thinking, okay, I should just bring my heart rate down to the low 150s just for like 10 minutes just to like, give my body a tiny bit of a reprieve, and then I'll crank it back up. And I think that worked really well last year because I was able to really give it everything I got until the end. So I don't know what my plan exactly is this year, but the other thing that's cool about this race is you come ripping through the aid stations, and they have is water. Like, that's it. I mean, it's only a 32-kilometer race, so you're not like having a picnic or anything. But you come ripping through, and they got those big like water cooler jugs of water, and they're kind of on this little tilt stand, and then they got this big flow valve on them. So and they're right on the course. Like, you don't have to get off the course. So you just come running up to the aid station, just, have your water bottle ready, just boom, gone. And so I bet you last year I spent less than 15 seconds in all of the aid stations combined. So there's 5 legs, because you do 1 leg, 2 leg, and then 3 leg is a loop, and then 4 is 2 back, and then 5 is 1 back to the start. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 aid stations. Some of them repeat, just going back the other way. And so, so you just come ripping through these things, and it's a relay race, which is fun too. So there's just like a lot of commotion. There's a lot of people. There's just a lot kind of happening. And what's also kind of fun about this race too is, there's times where you'll come through an aid station, and then the person, the relayer is kind of behind you. They tag off, and so then the relayer comes ripping out, passes you, and so you're cruising along, and then 2 kilometers later you pass that relayer, because of course they came out way too fast for their leg, and then so there's just a lot of kind of back and forth with positions, and just super fun, and it's fast, especially if you kind of get near the front. Now, the other thing I did last year too, which really worked in my favor, is I got right at the start, which is not in my nature. Like, usually I like to kind of be a little more conservative with where I start, but I knew that if I get sort of back in a Congo line on this single track, my day's kind of done. I mean, it's a 32-kilometer race. Like, if you gotta go if you're gonna go. So there was a bunch of us kind of at the front, and none of us really wanted to go first or whatever. And then finally, I think a couple of guys, took off, and I just rolled with them, and so I just started off fast. And other than that 10-minute gap in the middle there, where I kind of slowed down a little bit, it was kind of just like full go the whole time. And then what was super fun last year, I remember, well, I don't know if this part was super fun, but in the last like 4 kilometers, I was in 3rd place, and then 2 guys passed me right in the last like 4 kilometers with about 4 kilometers left. And there's just nothing I could do. Like, they just, and so anyways, but I was still moving pretty good. I mean, they were just, moving better. And so I got to the last like 800 meters or whatever that's pavement, and I looked back, because it's kind of a little bit of a turn. I looked back, and there was like 3 or 4 people like right there. And I got up on this pavement that then flows back to the finish. And I remember thinking, I'm not letting anybody pass me. No matter what, right now, nobody passes me. And I just started flying into the finish. Like, I should go back and look, but I was probably running like low 4-minute kilometers. And I just flew back into the thing. And so much so that I guess my wife and kids were standing somewhere along there. I didn't even see them. I guess they were yelling at me too as I ran by. They're like, Dad, Dad. And I just I was so focused, because usually they're at the finish of this race, because it's like right, you can kind of get there pretty easy. And so, I didn't even see them. I was just like, I was one track mind, trying to, not feel the pain and just ripping back. So, so if I look at it from this year's perspective, I feel like compared to last year, I feel way stronger in my legs. I feel like I can run up hills way better without being fatigued. Whereas in the past, I've never really had that ability to like run up hills. And now, I've done a ton of hill running training. So I feel like that's going to be a bit of an advantage, as long as I don't go all, wild on running hills, and then next thing you know, 20K and I'm done. So I got to be a little bit careful, I think, but I don't know. The only thing is, my goal has been to podium this race. I don't know. There's like with trail running in general, it seems like it's kind of blowing up right now. And this race used to be just a very local, like never really filled up. It was just kind of a little, almost like a fun little runny run that people were going, hey, it was more of a relay, but some people would try to run it on their own. And so it didn't really, attract, crazy fast people. And when I look at the participant list this year, I mean, there's some, I don't know, there's some good runners. And so I don't know, I'll probably be happy with like even top 10, but you never know. I mean, I think the biggest thing is I'm just going to go out there, I'm going to let loose, and I'm just going to see what happens. And it's the one time, this is the one time a year where I rip it downhill. I do not like running downhill super fast, like running, just because I have a tendency to roll my ankles, and it's just, but I remember last year thinking, like, if I'm going to do this, like, I have to, like, haul down hills. And so that's what I did, is it was, like, total mayhem. In fact, I think last year, that's how I was able to do, so well, get in sixth, is I was just burning the downhills. And so I got to do that again this year. Like, it's just got to be all out for 3 hours and 15 minutes, or hopefully, 3:05. I don't know. And then the other thing too is, like, it's gotta be, that, like, I call it pushing, but I know there's probably a different term for it. When you're out there running, like, sometimes you're just running, you're just shuffling, you're just kind of going through the motions, you're running. But then other times, like, you're pushing, like you're actually, like, you know what I mean? Like, you're driving, and you can feel it in your hamstrings, and I can sort of usually feel it up in my groin. Like I'm really pushing forward. And that's what this race is all about. Like, for 3 hours and 15 minutes, you gotta be pushing. Every footstep's gotta be just pushing you forward. And so, I feel, I'm super excited. I feel great. I probably feel the best I've ever felt in my life. My weight is good. I'm like 166, which, obviously I'd rather be like 159, but that's a good weight for right now. And then actually what I should talk about too is, after this race is what I'm super looking forward to this race. Don't get me wrong, but after this race, I'm super, super looking forward. So let me just paint this picture for you here, right? Just so, we're all on the same page. Is the last like 2 months of my life has been arguably the busiest ever, maybe. I mean, just from a time perspective, like my son has been in baseball, and he's kind of newer to it. So we've been out, he has 2 games a week plus a practice, plus him and I are out every single day practicing, just playing catch and batting. So, like, every day I'm doing that. And on days where he has a game, it's like I got to leave work at like 4:30 to get him to the game, get him to his practice by 5. They practice till 6, and then the game goes till like 8. It's the whole night. And then my daughter's been in dance. She's been doing performances. That's a big thing. My nephew's been doing performances. Tonight my son has his band performance. Like, it's just that end of the year, springtime, like everything just gets. I didn't know that as a parent, actually. Before I was a parent, I didn't realize that, like, nothing happens in the summers, because I don't know, I guess families are out doing stuff. Everything is in the spring. It's like from April to the end of June, it's like they just jam everything in those months. And so, yeah, it's crazy how busy I've been. So I'm just ridiculously behind on everything. Like my work, I'm behind, not in a bad way. I could use some time to just kind of catch up. My side business is like way behind. Like, I really got to put some time into that. Just life stuff around the house. Like, yeah, I just got to dedicate time. And so anyways, the point that I bring this up is, I've been, for my running, because I've been, kind of coming up to the Backyard Ultra and then the marathon, and then, super busy. I don't feel like I've been getting that sort of daily consistency that I love to get. And so after this run, everything stops. My son's baseball is done on Monday. My daughter's dance is done. I think it's done now, actually. Like, everything is just finishing. And so I'm going to, and I have no more sort of races or events until August. So it's like a month and a half. I figured it out. It's like 7 weeks of just pure nothingness in my life other than running. And so, yeah, so I mean, it's going to be awesome. My plan is to just get out every day, 6 days a week, get out running, get in a ton of elevation, get to the mountains, like just then this is the fun time. Like this is when, you know, I'm not going to worry about like training. I'm going to go out. I'm going to enjoy the trails. I'm going to enjoy the hills. If I feel like running fast that day, I'm going to run fast. If I feel like doing a zone 2, I'm going to do zone 2. Like 7 weeks of just pure bliss and running. And then we get into our, in the start of August, we get into our like 4-day fast pack in the mountains, which is going to be a huge adventure. And, yeah, so it's going to be awesome. I was hoping to make a video about our last run, and I even did a video in the car ride up explaining it. I don't know. It didn't really work. So, you know, work in progress. Or, you know, these things don't happen overnight. So, yeah, anyways, I'll do a recap after this week of how the Cactus Coulee crawl went. Oh, man, I really hope it goes good. I just, yeah, if this goes good, that would just be an awesome lead into this sort of like summer, you know. It would just, yeah, it would just be great. So, and it starts at noon, which is great. Like I don't have to get up early. It's in the heat of the day. It's supposed to be super hot this Saturday. Like I love the heat, especially for like 3 hours. It's not, you know, again, it's not like the whole day. It's just, oh, I can feel how much I'm going to love this race. So I just hope everything goes well, but we'll see. So there you go. Summer is upon us. Let's get out there. Let's have a good time. And I'll do a recap video next week. Wish me luck.